Hey, shalom brothers, shalom sisters, Bishop Nathaniel here. That's right, you know what day it is. It's Shout Out Tuesday. It is Shout Out Tuesday, and I pray you brothers and sisters join me every Tuesday afternoon on IUIC Events channel, where I will be reading your kind and inspirational letters, also thanking you for your kind donations, and also covering very important biblical information for the mental well-being of our 12 tribes. That's right, 12 tribes worldwide. So hope to see you then every Tuesday afternoon on IUIC Events. Shalom.
Today's topic, we're going to be discussing about the vision of Daniel from Daniel 7 verse 1 up to 28. Daniel had visions, and we just want to know how relevant are these visions to the Israelites, to the children of God nowadays.
You guys are deep. So you want to go with Daniel 7. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Hey, and it's very relevant. Like I said, what do you notice? The Bible is comprised of world events. Everything that we've seen that's going on throughout world history, dated 1,000 years ago, even to this very day, has been collected and prophesied by the various prophets, such as Daniel, Jeremiah, Ezekiel, Isaiah, Hosea, Jonah, and so forth. So the world exists, and events of the world exist because the prophets prophesied about it. God foretold these things to come. And Daniel likewise. All right, so we're going to start off with the book of Daniel, chapter 7, verse 1. Just to give a little background history, Daniel was brought up during the Babylonian captivity. He started to prophesy and receive his visions as the Most High worked with him. All right, Daniel, chapter 7, verse 1.
The book of Daniel, chapter 7 and verse 1. In the first year of Belshazzar, king of Babylon, Daniel had a...
Belshazzar. In the first year of Belshazzar, king of Babylon. Belshazzar was a grandson of Nebuchadnezzar. All right, go on.
Daniel had a dream and visions of his head upon his bed. Then he wrote the dream and told the sum of the matters.
So you got to realize, the Babylonian captivity, we're reading historical events or prophetic events during Daniel's time that occurred during the Babylonian captivity, which was about 606 BC, 606 years before the birth of Christ. All right. So it says Daniel, then he wrote the dream. So it says Daniel had a dream and visions of his head. Visions of his head upon his bed. Then he wrote the dream and told the sum of the matters. Let me just show you something real quick. Numbers chapter 12. The way the prophets communicate, while the Most High communicates to the prophets. Numbers chapter 12, verse 6.
The book of Numbers, chapter 12 and verse 6. And he said, hear now my words. If there be a prophet among you, I, the Lord, will make myself known unto him in a vision, and will speak unto him in a dream.
So God is clarifying the way he deals with his people, the way he deals with his prophets. He says, if there be a prophet among you, I will make them known in a dream as well as a vision. So the vision and the dream that was received or given to Daniel was distributed by God. That's how God communicates to his prophets in visions and dreams, and they wrote it down. These men that we're reading about were actual real men. Just like me, you look, the faces that we're seeing, they actually look like us. So it's no different. The people, like I said, people separate the Bible from reality. Well, these were real black men. I'll say it again. These are black men, holy men that received visions and prophecies from God. Let's see. Let's go to Job 33, verse 13.
The book of Job, chapter 33 and verse 13. Why doest thou strive against him? For he giveth not account of any of his matters.
Mm-hmm.
For God speaketh once, yet twice, yet man perceiveth it not.
Because people always say, I'm waiting for God to speak to me. I'm going to wait for God to talk to me. God speaketh once. He speaketh twice, yet man doesn't perceive it. God has been speaking on the earth through the prophets for the last, from the beginning of time. But man has yet to perceive it. Go on.
In a dream, in a vision of the night.
In a dream, God speaks to us. In a vision of the night. Go on.
When deep sleep falleth upon men, and slumberings upon the bed, then he openeth the ears of men, and sealeth their instruction.
So that's when God seals the instruction. Just like Daniel was given a vision, he sealed the instruction. So when God gave the vision in a dream to Daniel, he sealed the instructions of the world. He showed Daniel the world events that was going to occur prophetically. Now let's go back to Daniel chapter 7, verse 1.
The book of Daniel, chapter 7 and verse 1. In the first year of Belshazzar, king of Babylon, Daniel had a dream and visions of his head upon his bed. Then he wrote the dream and told the sum of the matters. Daniel spake and said, I saw in my vision by night, and behold, the four winds of the heaven strove upon the great sea.
Go on.
And four great beasts came up from the sea, diverse one from another.
So prophetically, Daniel is seeing four great beasts. What you're going to realize that these four great beasts represents four major ruling empires on this earth that God wants us to know about. Because these four world empires will have a significant effect on the rest of the world ruling empires and how life is conducted today. All the religious philosophies that we have, the political system, the customs that we keep, the politics, the way of life, the theology, everything extends from these four great beasts. Go on.
The first was like a lion and had eagle's wings.
So the first beast was like a lion, had the characteristics of lion. Which beast was this talking about? Nebuchadnezzar. The first beast is Babylon. Nebuchadnezzar ruling under Babylon. Babylon was like a lion and it had eagle's wings, meaning they was able to vastly conquer the east. Go on.
I beheld till the wings thereof were plucked.
And the wings thereof were plucked, meaning the lion, Nebuchadnezzar, stopped conquering. After the period of time, he conquered the majority of the dark nations and he settled down. So you have the Babylonian Empire, the Empire of Babylon. So the eagle's wings being plucked, meaning he settled down and began to rule over the various dominions. Just like you have Babylon, you have India, you have, let me just show you just the different locations that the Babylonian Empire ruled over. So the Babylonian kingdom went all the way down from Memphis in Egypt, Jerusalem, all the way down to Syria, going all the way to India. So just to show you a description, just a roadmap of the different empires. So Babylon, leading all the way up to India or Susa, at one of the Babylon's capital, the eagle's wing plucked, meaning they stopped conquering, they settled down. Go on.
I beheld till the wings thereof were plucked, and it was lifted up from the earth, and made stand upon the feet as a man, and a man's heart was given to it.
And it says, in a man's heart, and it says, and made stand upon the feet as a man, and a man's heart was given to it. What it means, says a man's heart was given to it, because why? It went from a beast, a lion with eagle's wing, to a man standing and a man's heart given to him, meaning wisdom and understanding was given to him, to the prophet Daniel. It was through Daniel's visions and dreams, Nebuchadnezzar was able to get understanding. Daniel was able to prophesy and show what was going to happen to the kingdom of Babylon. They used Daniel as an advisor. Remember, Daniel was made second in command. He was a president, and you have the three holy children that was under Daniel. So Daniel was a president over Babylon, meaning a man was made to stand and a man's heart was given to him, meaning wisdom and understanding went through Daniel to Nebuchadnezzar and the Babylonian Empire. Go on.
And behold, another beast, a second, like to a bear, and it raised up itself on one side, and it had 3 ribs in the mouth of it, between the teeth of it. And
So
they said,
the second beast, read that part again.
and behold, another beast, a second, like to a bear.
So the second beast. Now we're going to the next empire and rulership. You have the Babylonian Empire under Nebuchadnezzar's rulership, which was 606 BC. Then you have the second beast, was the Persians and the Medes under the rulership and dictatorship of King Cyrus. It was like unto a bear. Go on.
And it raised up itself on one side.
So when it says it raised up itself on one side, it was a Persian Empire was a dual rulership, ruled by the Medes first and foremost. And when it raised up on one side, that means under King Cyrus' dominion or authority came afterwards. So you have the Medo-Persian Empire. So you have the Medes first, then you have the Persians second under King Cyrus' rulership. They went up on one side, meaning they became greater in power. Go on.
And it had 3 ribs in the mouth of it, between
And the way King Cyrus was able to conquer them and establish himself as the next ruling empire, that's why you have the Persian Empire, the Persian rulership in about 538 BC. And it says it has 3 ribs, and it had 3 ribs in the mouth of it. Let's go to Isaiah chapter 45. What is the 3 ribs in the mouth of it make a reference to? Isaiah 45, verse 14. Start at verse 1, then jump to verse 14.
The book of Isaiah, chapter 45 and verse 1. Thus saith the Lord to his anointed, to Cyrus, whose right hand I have holden, to subdue nations before him. And I will loose the loins of kings, to open before him the 2-leaved gates, and the gates shall not be shut.
So Isaiah the prophet is prophesying, is foretelling a future event concerning King Cyrus. Now, mind you, this was 100 years before King Cyrus actually came to existence, showing how much of a true book the Bible is. The Bible prophesies about kings coming into rulership before they even ruled. So it says, thus saith the Lord to his anointed, to Cyrus. So prior to Cyrus being even born, God prophesied of a king to come in dominion and rulership, whose right hand I have holden, meaning whose right hand God is holding, meaning God gave King Cyrus, king of Persia, power before even it came to existence. And I will loose the loins of kings, to open before him the 2-leaved gates, and the gates shall not be shut. Now jump to verse 14.
Isaiah 45, verse 14. Thus saith the Lord, the labor of Egypt, and merchandise of Ethiopia, and of the Sabians,
So
men of
those 3, remember, it said he had a bear and had 3 ribs in his mouth. The 3 ribs is King Cyrus under the Persian dominion, under the rulership. They conquered the Egyptians, the Ethiopians, as well as the Sabians. Those are the 3 ribs in his mouth. Go on.
men of stature shall come over unto thee, and they shall be thine. They shall come after thee, in chains they shall come over.
You see, because Cyrus was going to conquer them and overthrow those 3 empires. Go on.
And they shall fall down unto thee. They shall make supplication unto thee, saying, surely God is in thee, and there is none else. There is no God.
So King Cyrus, now let's go back to Daniel chapter 7. So King Cyrus would conquer the Sabians, the Egyptians, the Sabians, and as well as the Ethiopians. Those are the 3 ribs that he'll have in their mouth. Go on. Now.
The book of Daniel, chapter 7 and verse 5.
Mm-hmm.
And behold, another beast, a second, like to a bear, and it raised up itself on one side, and it had 3 ribs in the mouth of it, between the teeth of it. And they said thus unto it, arise, devour much flesh.
So King Cyrus under the Persian Empire was able to conquer all the ruling empires' dominions, Babylon, as well as, you said, Egypt, Sabia, as well as Ethiopia. So I'm trying to get a map real quick. Let me see if I have a map. Just to show you real quick, Persia's dominion. But the Persians had dominion over the whole Middle East. So he took over the Babylonian like I said, previous locations that Babylon conquered, and he took dominion over those. He consumed it. Now let's read on.
After this I beheld, and lo, another like a leopard, which had upon the back of it 4 wings of a fowl. The beast had also 4 heads, and dominion was given to it.
Let's go to that again. Now the leopard. Read that again.
Daniel chapter 7, verse 6. After this I beheld, and lo, another like a leopard.
After the Persian Empire, the Persian or Medo Empire, you have the Greeks came in rulership. So it says, after this I beheld, and lo, another like a leopard. Now the Greek Empire was represented by a leopard. Alexander the Greek came into power. And if you actually look at one of the movies he had a leopard hat. You go to the Museum of Natural History on 81st Street in Central Park, they have Alexander the Greek wearing a leopard hat representing him. Meaning a leopard because why? A leopard is fast. Alexander the Greek was able to conquer all the dark nations in a short span of time. A leopard meaning he was able to conquer the dark nations in a short span of time. It was quick and swift. Go to First Maccabees real quick to show. After the Persian and Medo Empire, Alexander the Greek came and conquered all the dark nations and consumed them.
First Maccabees chapter 1 and verse 1. And it happened after that Alexander, son of Philip the Macedonian, who came out of the land of Chedum, had smitten Darius, king of the Persians and Medes, that he reigned in his stead the first over Greece.
So Alexander the Greek conquered and smitten Darius, king of the Persians as well as the Medes. So Alexander in 333 BC took dominion over the throne after conquering the Greek Empire. So Daniel is showing chronological order the different kingdoms coming up in rulership. Starting from the Babylonian Empire, you have 606 BC, going to the Medo-Persian Empire. Starting with the Medes first and foremost, and conceded by King Cyrus in 538 BC. After the Persian Medo Empire, you have Alexander the Greek, was represented by the leopard, came into existence in 333 BC. So these are all prophetic events. Now it's historical events to us that happened, that was prophesied during the time period of Daniel. God gave Daniel the vision of these major ruler empires that today is relevant because why? They will all be, like I said, they'll all be accumulated or integrated into an American-based empire. America will take on all the attributes of these ruling major empires, which you're going to read down further. That's what makes America one of the greatest empires to ever exist, because it's consumed, integrated, and took all the customs, political policies, the politics, the religions, the philosophy, theology, the ideology of all these ruling empires on the earth. Now go back to Daniel chapter 7.
The book of Daniel chapter 7 and verse 6. After this I beheld, and lo, another like a leopard, which had upon the back of it 4 wings of a fowl. The beast had also 4 heads, and dominion was given to it.
So the beast had 4 heads, and dominion was given unto it. So read, sorry, 1 second, read that one more time. The last
yes, sir. After this I beheld, and lo, another like a leopard, which had upon the back of it 4 wings of a fowl.
So the 4 wings that it had on its fowl was 4 generals. You have 4 generals. After Alexander the Greek died, 4 generals came up in his stead. Let's go to real quick, First Maccabees chapter 1, verse 5.
First Maccabees chapter 1, verse 5. And after these things he fell sick, and perceived that he should die. Wherefore,
so Alexander fell sick from syphilis. Go on.
Wherefore he called his servants, such as were honorable, and had been brought up with him from his youth, and parted his kingdom among them while he was yet alive.
So the 4 wings that were supported by the beast, by the leopard, were the 4 generals, the 4 servants that came up in rulership after Alexander. They supported him. When you look at going to history, you have 4 major generals after Alexander the Greek died that divided the Greek kingdom, the Greek empire. So you have General Lysimachus, you have General Cassandra, You have General Seleucus, and you have Ptolemy, General Ptolemy. All right. So those are the 4 generals. Now let's go back.
Daniel chapter 7, verse 6. And after this I beheld, and lo, another like a leopard, which had upon the back of it 4 wings of a fowl. The beast had also 4 heads, and dominion was given to it.
Verse 7.
After this I saw in the night visions, and behold, a 4th beast, dreadful and terrible, and strong exceedingly, and it had great iron teeth. It devoured and brake in pieces, and stamped the residue with the feet of it. And it was diverse from all the beasts that were before it, and it had 10 horns.
Now, read verse 7 again.
Yes, sir. Daniel chapter 7, verse 7. After this I saw in the night.
Now, let me ask you a question, sir. After the Greek Empire came up in rulership, who came next? Think about it, we're going over world historical events. Who came up in rulership after the Greeks?
I can't say that. I can't say. You could just say it because
Yes.
I have no idea. I have no
The
idea.
Roman Empire. That's why we're here to go over, like I said, world history. The Roman Empire, you have the Greco-Roman Empire, like I said. You have Greece came up first and foremost. Then you have Rome came and absorbed Greece. It was a Greco-Roman Empire. So read that again, verse 7.
After this I saw in the night visions, and behold, a 4th beast.
But now, notice how the 4th beast wasn't mentioned. The animal description wasn't mentioned concerning the 4th beast. Now you have the first beast, which was the lion, represented by King Nebuchadnezzar and a Babylonian Empire. Then you have the bear that stood on one side, which was King Cyrus in the Persian Empire. Then afterwards, you have the leopard represented by represented by Alexander the Greek and the Greek Empire. Then afterwards, you had the 4th beast, which wasn't told to Daniel, the representation of it, but it was told to Ezra the prophet. Let's go to 2nd Ezra, chapter 12, verse 11.
2nd Ezra chapter 12 and verse 11. The eagle whom thou sawest come up from the sea is the kingdom which was seen in the vision of thy brother Daniel.
Say it, read it again, remember. And when we just read Daniel chapter 7, verse 7, it says in the 4th beast. The 4th beast wasn't expounded by Daniel the prophet, but it was expounded by Ezra. Read that again.
2nd Ezra chapter 12, verse 11. The eagle whom thou sawest come up from the sea is the kingdom which was seen in the vision of thy brother Daniel.
So the eagle is the kingdom which was seen in the vision by thy brother Daniel. Now, can you go to chapter 11, verse 39 to show you that it was a part of the 4th beast that wasn't expounded? Remember, all the beasts have different characteristics, represented animalistic characteristic that represented those empire. Now, the eagle, the 4th beast, represented the Roman Empire. Rome was in rulership as an empire, but it became a republic later on. It was a republic, then it became an empire later on. Now, read verse 39.
2nd Ezra chapter 11 and verse 39. Art not thou it that remainest of the 4 beasts, whom I made to reign in my world, that the end of their times might come through them? And the 4th came and overcame all the beasts that were past, and had power over the world with great fearfulness.
That's all I want. I just want to show you. Now we're going to go back to 2nd Ezra. We're going to go back to 2nd Ezra to expound a little more in depth. But the 4th beast that wasn't expounded to Daniel was given to Ezra. The 4th beast is the eagle. What empire came after the Greek Empire? Rome. What represented the eagle? Roman Empire, the eagle. Can you show me a picture of that? And not only that, what you're going to realize, America is an extension of ancient Rome. Daniel chapter 7, verse 7 again.
Daniel chapter 7, verse 7. After this, I saw in the night visions, and behold, a fourth beast.
So
dreadful.
now we know, now we have more of a clarity of the fourth beast. Who does make it representative of? It's the eagle, Rome. The fourth beast represented the eagle that was expounded to Ezra, the prophet, during the Persian captivity. So the fourth beast being an eagle, Rome, when Rome came up with dominion, go on.
Dreadful and terrible and strong.
This ruling empire, Rome, will be worse than the other ruling empires. It'll be dreadful and terrible. Go on.
And strong exceedingly.
Rome will have the strongest military power to the point that America and all the ruling other empires take the customs, the politics, the religion, the philosophies by ancient Rome. Even to the point that all the building structures, the architect you see in America, you have the Colosseum, the Olympics is based upon the Roman Olympics. It's first and foremost by the Greeks, but it was made famous by the Romans. You have a lot of the feast days, the customs that we keep today, the holidays came by ancient Roman paganism. You have the Senate, Rome. The politics, democracy, Rome. So it says exceedingly strong. Go on.
And it had great iron teeth.
And it had a great iron teeth. It had a great military. Rome had one of the most powerful military. Go on.
It devoured and brake in pieces.
Rome devoured and broke in pieces all ruling empires. No empire or no dominion could stand against ancient Rome. Go on.
And stamped the residue with the feet of it.
What it means is stamped the residue with the feet of it, meaning it left its mark upon all nations, even to this day. When it stamped the residue of the feet there, it left its imprint on the world. Once Rome came up in rulership, after that kingdom, we've been following ancient Roman pagan customs, Roman politics, Roman theology, Roman monetary system. Everything from ancient Rome has been stamped, has been embedded in today's society. That's why you have the Greco-Roman, the calendar. You have the Gregorian calendar, or you have the calendars based upon the Roman or Greek days. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. These are about ancient Roman gods. Go on.
And it was diverse from all the beasts that were before it. And it had 10 horns.
It had 10 horns, represented 10 common markets. Go on.
I considered the horns, and behold, there came up among them another little horn, before whom there were 3 of the first horns plucked up by the roots.
Now, it says, I beheld and considered another horn, a little horn, before whom there were 3 of the first horns plucked up by the roots. Now, jump fast forward into world history. After ancient Rome fell in 193 AD, you had America came up in position and power and took its place as a new Roman Empire. America is an extension of ancient Rome. So it says another little horn, because why? If you look at America, America is a small ruling empire in comparison to the previous ruling empires. And the way America was established, it says, and I considered the horns, and behold, there came up among them another little horn, meaning out of the 10 common markets came up another little horn, before whom there were 3 of the first horns plucked up by the roots. So the way America was established as a superpower, before America was established, it fought 3 major wars. You had the Spanish-American War, you had a French-American War, and you had the War of Independence that America fought against Britain. That's why in 1776, America was established. In 1776, by the War of Independence. That's why today you have something called Independence Day, when America was made independent and freed himself from the British crown. And I'm going to show you that. Let's go to Revelation chapter 13 to show you that ancient Rome, America is an extension of Rome. Go to Revelation chapter 13, verse 1. Show you that the same thing that Daniel's saying is the same thing that John the Revelator is going to say.
Revelation chapter 13 and verse 1.
Mm-hmm.
And I stood upon the sand of the sea and saw a beast rise up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and upon his horns 10 crowns, and upon his heads the name of blasphemy.
Now verse 2.
And the beast which I saw was like unto a leopard.
So showing you, like I was saying earlier, remember, we just read that in Daniel's dream. The beast was like unto the leopard. The beast, meaning this beast is making reference to America. So John the Revelator, verse 13, verse 1, it says, and I stood upon the stand of the sea and saw a beast rise up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns. So America would be sitting on top of all these beasts. Out of the 7 heads, meaning the 7 ruling European empires, and the 10 horns represented the 10 common markets, and upon his horns 10 crowns, and upon his heads the name of blasphemy. So these are the European ruling empires throughout history. Verse 2, go on.
And the beast which I saw was like unto a leopard.
So now the beast which John was seeing was like unto a leopard, meaning the beast took on a characteristic and attributes of ancient Greeks, which represented the leopard. Go on.
And his feet were as the feet of a bear.
And his feet was like the feet of a bear. Also, America took on attributes of a bear. Just like today, we look at America, like I said, America takes on the attributes of ancient Greece. You have the Olympics. You also have the Greco holidays, the Greco customs. Greco and Roman customs are very similar in, like I said, in nature. Both are on one of the same. In terms of the Greek gods that you worship, even today, you have, what do you have? Easter goes back to Diana of Ephesus of Greeks, which is today people represented as the birth or the resurrection of Christ, but goes back to the goddess of fertility. So a lot of the things we're doing are ancient Greco customs. Go on.
And his mouth as the mouth of a lion.
And it took on the attributes of Babylon, the mouth of a lion. Go on.
And the dragon gave him his power and his seat and great authority.
And Satan gave America their great power. Go on.
Verse 3, and I saw one of his heads as it were wounded to death, and his deadly wound was healed.
So it says, and I saw one of his heads as it were wounded to death. What is that talking about? Rome. Rome was wounded to death, meaning Rome was overthrown, one of the heads. Rome was conquered by Septimius Severus, which was a black gladiator in 193 AD. Go on.
And all the world wondered after the beast.
Sorry, and I saw one of his heads, and it was wounded to death. Go on.
And his deadly wound was healed.
And his deadly wound was healed was during the Renaissance period. Renaissance means the rebirth of ancient Rome back in rulership. Rome wasn't literally here, but Rome, by an ideology and philosophy, was back in rulership. That's why America pays homage to the Pope over Rome, because why? Rome, everything that America does is after the standard of Rome today. That's why you see the building infrastructure is after Rome. The Senate is after Rome. The customs that we keep is after the Greco-Roman Empire. That's all I wanted out of that. Now go back to Daniel chapter 7, verse 8.
The book of Daniel, chapter 7 and verse 8. I considered the horns, and behold, there came up among them another little horn, before whom there were 3 of the first horns plucked up by the roots.
So America came out of the horns. America came out of the 10 common. So another little horn, America came up as the next ruling empire that established itself after British. During the 1945, after the Second World War, America made itself known primarily on the scene as the next ruling superpower. Go on.
And behold, in this horn were eyes like the eyes of a man, and a mouth speaking great things.
So it says, and behold, in this horn were eyes like the eyes of man, meaning the eyes of man. He was given a visionary, he was given vision. He was given a vision during, when you look at the time period, America was established during 1776. Now, give me 1 second. I want to show you historically what happened to America. Read it again, the last part.
Verse 8. In this horn were eyes like the eyes of a man, and a mouth speaking great things.
So it says, and behold, in this horn were eyes like the eyes of man, meaning wisdom was vision and wisdom was given to America during the 1700s, meaning because why? During the Industrial Revolution, America was able to advance itself and accelerate during the Industrial Revolution, and by creating what is called steamboats. By the great inventions and a vision that was given to America, they was able to accelerate themselves as a global power in a trade system, economic trade system. That's why America today is globally, economically, is the most powerful nation because of the trade system. I'm going to show you something now. Go get me Ezekiel chapter 28, verse 1.
The book of Ezekiel, chapter 28 and verse 1. The word of the Lord came again unto me, saying, Son of man, say unto the prince of Tyrus, Thus saith the Lord God, because thine heart is lifted up, and thou hast said, I am a God. I sit in the seat of God, in the midst of the seas. Yet thou art a man and not God.
So read it again.
Yes, sir. Ezekiel chapter 28 and verse 1. The word of the Lord came again unto me, saying, Son of man, say unto the prince of Tyrus, Thus saith the Lord God, because thine heart is lifted up.
So this is hip talk. This is prophetically speaking about America, the prince of Tyrus, because why? Tyre was a ruling seaport in Phoenice. When you look at the map, the geographical location of Tyre, Tyre was on the border of Phoenicia. Phoenicia was a major seaport. Tyre was a major economic trading station. So America, God is calling America, or Esau, the so-called white man, the prince of Tyre, because America would take on the same attributes of Tyre, or which is, like I said, one of the greatest seaports where trading or import and export was happening. Go on.
Because thine heart is lifted up, and thou hast said, I am a God.
So America, Esau, the white man's heart is lifted up. Why? Because of the power that's given to him, economically, politically, as well as religiously. So economically, politically, and religiously, the power and dominion that America has in its hand, or the so-called white man, has lifted him up in pride. Go on.
I sit in the seat of God, in the midst of...
in the seat of God. What is the seat of God? He sits in a seat of authority. He sits in a seat. When you look at the white man, when you look or think about God, who do you see? The so-called white man, because all throughout the earth, all throughout Europe and America and globally, you see the white image of God as well as Christ. The white man painted himself to be God as well as Christ. He sits in his church, in the churches of authority. He sits in the seat, the Pope. The Pope is God is represented as God on earth. Go on.
I sit in the seat of God in the midst of the seas.
And in the midst of the seas. Why? Because it's Navy. America will globally, or like I said, will have the Navy or the seas under control. That's why wherever you go, America has his Navy ships sanctioned and positioned all throughout globally with the Middle East. You go, like I said, when the war that just occurred with Soleimani and where is that located? And I believe in Iran. When they assassinated the Iranian general called Soleimani, guess what? The Navy ships were right there, positioned, because America has dominion over the seas. Go on.
Yet thou art a man and not God.
He is a man and not God. Go on.
Though thou set thine heart as the heart of God.
Go on.
Behold, thou art wiser than Daniel. There is no secret that they can hide from thee.
So this man is wiser than Daniel. There's no secret that could be hidden from the white man or America as a whole. Why? Think about it. America represents what? The eagle, or the fourth beast. Being ancient Rome, and America is an extension of ancient Rome, representing the eagle. What is the attributes of an eagle? An eagle could see you from where? Thousands of miles in the sky, thousands of feet in the sky. An eagle could see its prey all the way from the sky. It can see a mouse. An eagle is a predatory creature. And guess what? It says, there's no secret that can be hid from thee. America controls what? Your internet. They can see and spy on you, everything that you type in the internet, whatever's in your mind, your social media platform, your social media, Facebook. Whatever's in your mind, you put on your Facebook. You can't hide your thoughts from them because whatever's in your mind, you look it up on Google. And guess what? They have an algorithm, and based upon your searches and your likes, it automatically gives you, it brings you to different locations or advertises whatever you like. If you go on dating sites, guess what? It automatically, on your advertisement, is going to go to dating sites. You could be talking, and on your phone, something that me and you could be having a conversation with on, guess what? It will come up on your Facebook advertisement, on your Google ads. Why? Because there's nothing that can be hidden from this man. They're wiser than Daniel. By their technology, by the technological advances, they can see you through the satellites. They can hear you through the phone. They know your thoughts, your intent of your thoughts through the computer. They can track you through the GPS. There's no thoughts. There's nowhere you could go or hide, and nothing you could do that could be hidden from this man. They know how you think. They know what you're going to do. They're wiser than Daniel, the Bible's saying. Go on.
With thy wisdom, there is no secret that they can hide from thee. With thy wisdom and with thine understanding, thou hast gotten the riches and hast gotten gold and silver into thy treasures.
So God's saying, with thy wisdom and with thy understanding, thou hast gotten the riches and has gotten gold and silver into thy treasures. So what gave them riches? Remember, it says, and eyes was given unto the horn, meaning wisdom and understanding to be able to obtain riches. Go on.
By thy great wisdom and by thy traffic.
By thy great wisdom and by thy traffic. I'll say it again. By thy great wisdom and by thy traffic. What is another word for traffic? Their trading system, the import and export system. That's why it says, after the War of Independence, you have what is called the Industrial Revolution, or what is called the Enlightenment period. Great wisdom and understanding was given to them. Vision, the eyes represent a vision. Vision, they would have the vision in order to create inventions. One invention being the steamboat, to be able to accelerate the trade system, import and export. Import and export. They'll be able to rapidly produce goods and ship them out to further locations, making them the richest country in the world. Because if they can speed up the process of trading, then they can accumulate their wealth in a fastest period of time. And on top of that, globally, America had the most amount of slaves on earth. So all those things combined made America one of the major rich, or the greatest economically and richest empire on this earth. So it says, with thy wisdom and with thy understanding, that has gotten the riches. Go into the vision to be able to create great inventions, such like the steamboats during the Enlightenment period in the late 1700s. It has gotten gold and silver into thy treasures. By thy great wisdom and by thy traffic hast thou increased thy riches. Go on.
And thine heart is lifted up because of thy riches.
And their heart is lifted up because of thy riches. Get me Revelation chapter 18. Revelation chapter 18, verse 10.
Revelation chapter 18 and verse 10. Standing afar off for the fear of her torment, saying, alas, alas, that great city Babylon, that mighty city, for in 1 hour is thy judgment come. And the merchants of the earth shall weep and mourn over her. For
and
no
the merchants of the earth, meaning your major ruler corporation, your corporations, your empires, your Hawaii, the chip corporation, you have your Sonys, you have your Walmarts, you have your Amazons, your merchants, your British merchants, you have your French merchants, you have your Arab merchants. Every merchant, every corporation that's embedded with America financially, economically, because of the traffic, because of the trading system, economically and globally, America is one of the most powerful economic trading systems ever to exist. Go on.
For no man buyeth their merchandise anymore.
No man buyeth their merchandise anymore. When America is destroyed, all the nations are going to bewail her. All the nations became rich off of America. When America prospered off of the transatlantic slave trade, not only did it become the wealthiest and richest nation because of free slave labor, but all the other nations partook on the goods, the resources that came from America conquering the South America. Because once America conquered South America, guess what? It's something called capitalism, free labor. They became rich off of capitalism. They took control of the natural resources of the land and they sold it to the other nations. South America, Central America, North America, as well as you have, that's why America sees the Panama Canal that controls the port between the Atlantic Ocean and I believe the Atlantic Ocean, the Pacific Ocean, something like that. The trade routes. So America owns the global trade system. They have control over that. Go on.
The merchandise of gold and silver and precious stones and of pearls and fine linen and purple and silk and scarlet and all thine wood and all manner of vessels of Uri and all manner of vessels of precious wood and of brass and iron and marble and cinnamon and odors and ointments and frankincense and wine and oil and fine flour and wheat and beasts and sheep and horses and chariots and slaves and souls and slaves.
And what?
And slaves.
What is a part of America's trading system? Slaves. And guess what? When it colonized South America, Central America, excuse me, North America, these are all the natural resources, as well as Africa. These are all the natural resources of the land that they stole from by that traffic, by the wisdom that was given to them, starting from the steamboat, afterward the ships that they had, the global trading system, all the wealth that they accumulated through our wealth, through our resources, through the lands that they took from us, and as well as the slave trade. America became rich. And slaves, go on.
And souls of men.
And souls of men, go on.
And the fruits that thy soul lusted after are departed from thee.
The fruits that they take from South America, the mangoes, the tomatoes, you have the pineapples, the bananas, the guava, the fruits that they lusted after, go on.
And all things which were dainty and goodly are departed from thee, and thou shalt
be taken away from them. Now jump to verse 17.
Verse 17, for in 1 hour so great riches is come to naught.
In 1 hour, America is going to be destroyed, and great riches is going to come to nothing. Go on.
And every shipmaster and all the company in ships and sailors.
Don't you see what's happening off of the coast of California in America? One of the incidents or issues that we have in today is there's a backlog, or there's an issue with the shipping companies. If you're looking at globally, or if you're looking at amongst the sea coast of California, you see the different shipping companies on the trading, the different major corporations have their ships docked. Can you pull up a picture? Have their ships docked off of the coast of California to be able to bring in the different goods that we just read, the marble, the brass, the wood, the ivory, the precious stones, the cinnamon, the odors, the ointments, the frankincense, the wine, the oil, the wheat. All these things are being backed, are on the sea coast of California, waiting to bring in the different imports and exports. So it says, and every shipmaster and all the company in ships and sailors, and as many as trade by sea, stood afar off. To show you what is happening today with the shipping companies, these shipping companies, God is showing you in plain sight prophecy being fulfilled. Now let's go back. You got it? This is what the Bible's talking about. All their companies, their ships, every shipmaster and all the company in ships and sailors, and as many as trade by sea, stood afar off. That's what you're witnessing right now. Many that trade by sea stood afar off, because why? America is a big business, because America dominates the import and export system. Because globally, America has some of the richest countries and resources under their control, under their dominion. Go back to Daniel chapter 7.
Daniel chapter 7. You want verse 8 again, Cap, or you want me to go on to verse 8?
Bottom of 8.
Bottom of 8. And behold, in this horn were eyes like the eyes of man.
Now we know what it means then. And this horn, meaning, and this power, superpower, was the eyes of man, meaning wisdom, great visionary wisdom was given to them to become rich. During the Industrial Revolution, you have the creation of the steamboats was able to accelerate the import and export trading, global trading system to make America economically the richest country in the world, and also by the slave trade. Go on.
And a mouth speaking great things.
And they had a mouth speaking great things. What is the great things? Blasphemy. Go on.
I beheld till the thrones were cast down, and the Ancient of Days.
Actually, I want to stop. I want to go there. In a mouth speaking great things. Give me 1 second. Revelation 13, verse 5.
Book of Revelation, chapter 13 and verse 5. And there was given unto him a mouth speaking great things and blasphemies. And power was given unto him to continue 42 months.
Go on.
And he opened his mouth in blasphemy against God.
Well, this is him opening his mouth and blasphemy against God. I just want to stick with one blasphemy against God. One blasphemy against God is saying that Jesus Christ was born December 25th. Jesus Christ is a white man. I'll say it again. One blasphemy, I wanted to bring that up with the few minutes that we have left. I wanted to bring it up real quick. One blasphemy is a blasphemy is a lie. One blasphemy is saying that Jesus Christ was born December 25th, known as what you call as Christmas today. Can we get that in Jeremiah 10?
The book of Jeremiah, chapter 10 and verse 1. Hear ye the word which the Lord speaketh unto you, O house of Israel. Thus saith the Lord, learn not the way of the heathen, and be not dismayed at the signs of heaven.
So God is speaking to the Israelites, not to learn the way of the heathen. Heathen make a reference to the other nations, whether it be the Chinese, whether it be the French, the Dutch, the British, so-called Europeans, Caucasians today, whether it be the East Indians, African, Arabs. The Bible says not to learn the ways of the other nations. That has us in a position of captivity, of servitude. Go on.
For the heathen are dismayed at them.
So the heathen, meaning the other nations, are dismayed at the sun, the moon, and the stars. That's why they make gods a representation of these things. That's why you have Christians, or the Christianity represents the sun, Sunday, sun worship. You have Islam represents the moon, the crescent moon, going back into the moon worship. All of these religions, modern religions, was based upon the worship of the constellations going into space. Go on.
For the customs of the people are vain.
The customs going into their holidays, their customs, their traditions, their practices are lies. Go on.
For one cutteth a tree out of the forest.
One of the custom is one holiday is one cutting a tree out of a forest. What holiday consists of a man going to the forest to cut a tree out of it? Go on.
And the work of the hands of the workmen with the axe. They deck it with silver and with gold.
And after they cut the tree out of the forest, guess what they do? They decorate the tree with silver and with gold. That's why you have a song called Silver and Gold, Silver and Gold. So one not only cut the tree out of the forest, which pertains to customs, but they also, after they cut the tree, they decorate it with silver and with gold. Go on.
They fasten it with nails and with hammers, that it moves not. They
fasten the tree with nails and hammers. How does the tree stand upright? By you have what is called a tree stand. What custom is this making reference to? Christmas. Guess who's prophesying? Guess who's talking about the customs? Jeremiah. What time period was Jeremiah the prophet? During the Babylonian time period. When was that? 606 BC. 606 years before the birth of Christ. Jeremiah is talking about a custom that will involve one cutting a tree out of the forest, decorating it with silver and gold, and fastening it with nails and hammer. What holiday is that? Christmas. 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 How does the beast speak blasphemy against God? By saying that Jesus Christ was born on December 25th. That's one blasphemy. Another blasphemy is saying that Jesus Christ is a white man. God is a white man. That the Jews are white. That God's laws are done away with. Blasphemy. That a man can lie with another man. Blasphemy against God. So with that, that's going to conclude today's radio show. Like I said, we was able to just give you a small glimpse of Daniel chapter 7. There's a lot more to it, but we're going to end it at
that. Thank you very much for your coming. Hoping that next week you're also going to be live here.
Lord's will.
Yeah, and I believe that next week we are still going to continue from where you have stopped, all these blasphemy acts and the holidays. I believe that next week you're going to explain them all for our dear listener to grasp everything. But we'd like to thank you for your wisdom that you have shared to us today. And our dear listener have questions, I guess, but they are going to ask me, and I'm going to ask you next week.
Yes, sir.
During the show.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
All right, sounds good. Shalom.
We used to scream black power while Heron was pushed. But at the end of the day, nothing's in vain. IUIC has been given a vision. The tents of Judah has risen. Many has attempted the mission, minor murmuring, omitting, and missing the mark. Just reading that he had the flame of fire in his eyes gave us the spark. We on Paul's mission. We out on the road, purple and gold, from Mexico, Cuba, Haiti, Ghana, Sierra Leone. 144,000 boots banging, concrete crackling. These are our men repented at heart. The scriptures is proof. IUIC, we deliver the truth.